famous sermon he preached. Everybody will know. You know that sermon? I have a dream. The person who wrote the history, person who we remember today, who we know as a person who really loved God. He was the pastor of the church. He loved God, and he said, I have a dream that one day everybody will be equal. And today we can see his dream was fulfilled. Today we can see what he did. He spoke. He was a person who had dreams. If God called you out from darkness, he said, I want to break every limit in your life, and I want you to have a extended vision. I want to increase your territory. Well, I'm already 60 years old. I'm already retired, so I'm just going to live the way I live. No, God says, no. I want to extend your territory. There is a name, Wigglesworth, person who, Smith Wilkerson, who did so much for God, for his kingdom. God called him to the ministry when he was 50 years old. Things like, Smith, you have not much left in your life. Just take it easy. Continue to be a plumber. He was a plumber. But God called him out and said, I want you to be a minister. And today, Christian world knows Smith Wigglesworth as a person who was a tremendous, anointed person for God and for his kingdom. Today, no matter how old you are, I want you to step out and say, Lord, I don't want to just live the way I live because I want you to increase my territory. I want you to give me more influence over the people that I work and over the people I have. Why? Because I have a dream. And when you have a dream, God will answer to your prayer. Everything starts with a dream. There are three common misconceptions that keep people from having a great dream. First one, we confuse humility and fear. We say, I could never do that. That's not being humble. Sometimes you think, well, I have to be humble. Just, I will go with the flow, and I'm okay. I don't want to be first because that's not humble. It's not a humility. Behind it, there is a fear. Just because you don't want to be visible, you don't want to have influence. And God says, well, that's not the way I call you. You're called to be a leader. Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. You have a people, an interesting thing. Some of you said, well, I'm not a leader, I'm a follower. And I'll tell you today, and I will prove you that you are a leader. You have influence over your children. You have influence over your neighbors. You have influence over your co-workers. You have influence over people who run you. You have influence. Maybe you are not, like they never say you are my leader, but they look after you. So therefore, they will take something from you. Your decision, your choice today, if they will take something good out of you or bad. So Jabez, he said, well, I have a great dream, and I'm not going to be afraid. Although my name is painful, although my name is, my mom told me, fool or crazy or whatever, I'm not going to be the way my mom told me. I will change my destiny. I will change my life. And he did because he had faith and he had dreams. Don't confuse humility and fear. Paul, he understood his weaknesses and he knows his strong side. You need to know strong side and you need to know your weaknesses. Why? Because when you realize you gotta have balance. He said to the people, Paul, he said, follow me as I follow Christ. Sometimes we say, well, that's not a humble way to say. Have you ever said to anybody, follow me as I follow Christ? Has anybody ever said? No, because that's not a humble, it's not a humble way. We're supposed to be humble. Paul said to them. He wasn't he wasn't a perfect man. He was just a regular man. But at the same time, he wrote to the others, people at churches, he said, I am the chief among the sinners. He said, well, I know my weaknesses. Yes, I'm a chief among the sinners. When people say, well, I'm good, I'm okay, I don't need to be that's a pride. Paul says, yes, I want you to know, if I'm just one step ahead of you, I can say, follow me as I follow Christ. Yes, I'm not perfect. I'm a chief among all the sinners without Christ. But I want to tell you, I know that with God, it's always good. So he said, well, just follow me. Second misconception about dreams. People confuse contentment with laziness. Paul said, in Philippians chapter 4, verse 12, I have learned to be content in every situation. I learned to be content in every situation. And people say, well, you have to be content. You have to be happy with whatever you have. And that's enough. But Paul says, well, I'm forgetting whatever was behind me, and I'm reaching forward. I have a goal for my life. You know, laziness, sometimes, you know, people lazy and they say, well, I'm satisfied. God says you need to be happy, which we have. Yes, but you always have to grow. Remember, if you're not happy where you're at now, you're not going to be happy when you get somewhere else. People say, well, I'm not happy because I'm not married. If you're not happy without being married, you're not going to be happy when you get married. Well, I'm not happy because I don't have a good job. If I would have like 100 grand a year, I will be happy. If you're not happy with 25 grand, you're not going to be happy when you get 100 grand. Well, if I will be in a ministry and if I will be a pastor, I'll be very happy. You know, if you're not happy by being a pastor, you're not going to be happy when you're going to be a pastor. Why? Because the kingdom of God starts within you. No matter where you're at, you need to be happy. But you always have to grow. There's always room for growth. And everybody who wants to grow, say amen. We confuse little things with spirituality. You know, many times, that's one of the common mistakes that Christians make. They say, well, God knows what I need for my life. And I don't have to do anything. You know, we think just a little. We give everything into the God sent, that God says, you know what? I will go with you. I will bless you when you will do something. I want you to make a step. You know, when you remember that son who left house, we call him prodigal son, and he was returning back to his father. And Bible says he was walking, he was returning back. Probably he was tired, he was beat up. But what was the reaction of his father? He ran. When you turn to God and say, Lord, I'm turning to you and I'm going forward. I want to move on. God runs with you and He helps you. You know, sometimes people say, well, God helps those who help themselves. That's true and not true. But we always need to remember, God goes with us. If you stay, God will not do work for you. We are here on this earth and we need to know. Don't be so spiritual. Just do what you need to do, Jabez, he understood. He was predestined already to be a loser. He was predestined to be just ordinary person, or maybe even worse, you know, he was painful. But he said, no, I'm not going to live with him. I'm not going to live. I know God, and I will pray to God. I know God of Israel who can change my destiny in my life. And God did hear his prayer and change it and grant it whatever he asked. Second thing you need to know as a Christian from the life of Jabez, he had growing faith. Jabez had a deep trust and deep belief in God. He prayed and he recognized the source of his blessing comes from the Lord. He knew that people, country, his background, his friends, whoever else cannot help him. Only God can help. Once William Carey, who said, expect great things from God and attempt great things for God. When you attempt great things for God, you got to be expecting great things from God. You know, God says, well, I want you to know I have something special for you. And Bible didn't mention about certain disability that Jabez had, but probably he had something, he had some disability. Probably he was born, and I don't know, maybe he was handicapped, maybe he was, maybe he was sick. But, we don't know. But we know one thing, that he had strong faith in God. He didn't believe what his mother said to him. He didn't believe what others said. He knew God Almighty, God of Israel. Secondly, there was nothing special about Jabez. We don't know if the Bible didn't mention that he was a very talented person, that he was a very smart person. He has very high IQ. Do you know who has a high IQ today in our time? I forgot his name. I read it in one of the books. He's an American guy who lives in Minnesota. He has a big ranch. That's all he had. Few cows on the ranch. And that's it. He was smart. From early age, he was the smartest person in his life. His character wasn't good. but see what is intelligent.